will take third place between Memphis and VCU, and we will start with the man who makes the Rams go, Bones Hyland.
Yeah, the sophomore has had a really good tournament so far. 36 points in the 2 games, really their most reliable scorer, most consistent scorer. A lot expected of him coming into this season. A lot's going to be on his shoulders tonight to put that ball through the basket. You're playing a team in Memphis who's going to get after him, going to press. It's going to be a lot of fireworks here tonight.
Well, VCU got to this game by beating Utah State and then losing to West Virginia yesterday. Final of 78-66. Meanwhile, Memphis got here by beating St. Mary's. They lost to Western Kentucky in the second round, and that's why the Hilltoppers played in the championship game earlier today. But among the many names on this Memphis roster we want to get you ready for is the Virginia Tech transfer, Landers Nolley II, coming off a big game.
He is 25 points in that loss to Western Kentucky. And a guy who really scored the ball last year as a freshman at Virginia Tech. He does it in a diverse way. I mean, he's got a lot of different things in his kit bag. Can knock down a face-up shot, knock down that 3. He can put it on the floor, can take it in the post a little bit. 6'7", good size, and really had a breakout game in a Memphis uniform yesterday.
Well, he was granted a waiver to become eligible immediately. And so he is playing this year, or right after leaving Virginia Tech in the spring. And there is KeShawn Bones Hyland, sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware. Last year averaged 9 points per game. He had 23 points against Utah State on Wednesday, followed up with 13 yesterday against West Virginia. But where he started shooting very well a couple of nights ago, he was 0 for 5 from beyond the arc against the Mountaineers yesterday.
Well, both these teams start with defense. Defense is their identity. Offensively for both, it comes down to taking good shots, good shot selection, and not turning the basketball over, which has been an issue so far in this tournament for both teams.
Chris, here's a look at tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Sanford Health. Ace Baldwin is the freshman point guard being asked by Mike Rhodes to step in and take over for a graduated 2,000-point scorer, and he has been thrown to the wolves as every freshman has here this week. There's Mike Rhodes, the 4th-year head coach of the Rams, former head coach of the Rice Owls. He spent 3 years in Houston with Rice, and before that he was a assistant at VCU under Shaka Smart. There is Nolley on cue.
He's a great scorer. I mean, he was, again, a really good scorer last year at Virginia Tech. Great high school scorer at Langston Hughes in Georgia. Was the ACC's Freshman of the Week 5 times. He actually had 30 in his first game at Virginia Tech against Clemson.
And if you're the 9th leading scorer in the ACC as a freshman, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He finished with a scoring average of 15.5 points, 5.8 rebounds. Made all ACC honorable mention. And so there is Nolley along with Alex Lomax at the point, Lester Quinones the off guard, DJ Jeffries, and then the highly touted center, freshman recruit Musa Cisse.
See, those are the turnovers that Memphis has to eliminate. I mean, it's really an unforced turnover. You're dribbling into traffic and it just kind of goes off your leg. I don't know where Lomax was going.
Offensive foul. I believe they got Levi Stockard, the Kansas State transfer. There's a look at Anthony Penny Hardaway in his 3rd year as head coach at his alma mater for his hometown school. The 49-year-old Memphian was the National Player of the Year back in 1990 out of Treadwell High School, and then spent 2 years playing for the Tigers, then the Memphis State Tigers. Looking to go one-on-one. The help defense poked it away from DJ Jeffries. Another Memphis turnover, and it turns into 2 quick points at the other end for KeShawn Curry.
And that's VCU basketball. The turnovers to offense, and it really supplements an offense that can struggle in the half court. Both these offenses really struggle in the half court. Both are looking for an identity. But VCU, you go back to that win they had on the opening night of this tournament against Utah State. They were down in that game and just completely changed the tide with their pressure, turning Utah State over, turning that into offense on a night where they really did struggle in the half court to score.
And Memphis has turned it over 3 times now in the first 2 minutes of the game. Stockard, little high-low, nice feed. Able to get it up on the rim, but Corey Douglas couldn't finish.
And Cisse, that's the impact he has at the rim.
Jeffries off the back iron. And it's Adrian Ace Baldwin Jr. back the other way. Curry steps through and lays it in.
You know, all these guys for VCU, with the exception of maybe Stockard, can catch it on the perimeter, put it on the floor, and drive it.
Long rebound tracked down by Musa Cisse. Into Lomax, and he's denied by Douglas.
It's got a dribble drive feel to it. There's the penetration by Hyland, a really good skip, and then you drive the closeout. And a nice up and under, good shot fake there by KeShawn Curry.
Malcolm Dandridge will replace Cisse, and also Alex Lomax has left the game for Memphis. Quinones missed the first, made the second, and our score is 5-4 Memphis. And while Lester Quinones did make the American all-freshman team a year ago, found the quotes from his coach interesting. Penny said of Lester Quinones, who was highly regarded as a high school recruit coming out, quote, Lester couldn't figure out how to get his game going with the players he was playing with. As a basketball player last year, he was embarrassed. And I found that interesting, and so Lester has come back better for the experience and has gotten his sophomore year off to a good start, looking like who I think he wants to be on the basketball floor.
Well, it's good to see him hit that 3 from the corner. Has not shot it well so far here in South Dakota, but he is certainly capable.
He averaged nearly 11 points per game as a freshman. He was part of that top-rated recruiting class in the nation from a year ago, a big part of it. Quinones was number 84 in the ESPN 100 in 2019. DJ Jeffries was number 25. Boogie Ellis number 39. And of course, the 2 guys who were first-round draft picks last week were at the top of that class. James Wiseman went number 2 overall to the Warriors, and then Precious Achiuwa number 20 to the Miami Heat. And it's funny, the 6th member of that recruiting class, Chris, Malcolm Dandridge, will come off the bench here tonight. He was a 4-star, yet he was the 6th highest rated coming in.
Well, I think this team this year, as highly regarded as that team was last year, and obviously they lost Wiseman, I think this team this year has a chance to be a lot better than that group last year. They've got to find an offensive identity, though.
Our first timeout takes us to break with Memphis on top early.
Well, execution has been a problem, and this goes back for both teams to last season. Execution's been a problem, shot selection. You know, I think at times, particularly with Memphis, nice under out of bounds out of the timeout there. At times you get individuals who, you know, now it's my turn, or now you go, and you know, individuals take it upon themselves to bail each other out. It's about working together, figuring out who should be taking shots when and what's the best shot for you. And here's Quinones again.
Boogie Ellis has checked into the game for the first time for Memphis, the 6'3" sophomore who scored 24 points, a career high against St. Mary's in their initial win on Wednesday, where he shot the lights out. There is Boogie. Pressure broken.
Ooh.
Trying to dunk, but unable to do so, is Hason Ward, the sophomore from Barbados. Quinones out of control, and that is turnover number 4 for the Tigers.
Both these teams are going to press, and both are going to break pressure to score, and they have athletes as finishers, as that play by Hason Ward would indicate. Everything but the finish.
which team is best set up to handle the other's defensive pressure?
I'll let you know in 10 minutes. I mean, this could be wild, man. I mean, we were talking before the game, and you said, what do you think? I said, turnovers. I said, whoever can manage and sometimes their shots are turnovers.
Yeah, that's a good point. Both teams are turning it over at an alarming rate so far, both with the 4 turnovers.
Good outlet.
And here comes Bones. Lay it up to the rim. And the throwdown by Jamir Watkins.
And it starts with the outlet pass. What a find by Hason Ward. And the defensive balance for Memphis, not good. You get the 2-on-1 down back.
DJ Jeffries is very talented. He's yet to get going here in Sioux Falls yet. Couple of games, he scored a combined 10 points.
Bad shot.
5 of 19 coming in from the floor. And he is now 5 for 22 shooting this week.
That's a bad shot. Long 2. Now here's a high percentage one. There's the outlet as the 2 wings leak out. Nice pass by Hyland. And a good finish. And this is where points in this game are going to be very valuable in the open floor. Both these teams can really score in transition. It's when this game gets into the half court that both teams trying to find themselves. And, you know, DJ Jeffries, everybody knows is struggling. And I think he's starting to press. But a lot of times when a guy is struggling to make shots, there's 2 questions you ask. First of all, how are you practicing? Are you taking game shots in practice? And then secondly, what kind of shots are you taking in games? That last shot he took at the top of the key, a foot inside the 3-point line, is not a good shot.
Tigers turn it over. Rams with it. By the way, that dunk by Watkins on their last possession snapped a 3-minute scoreless drought in the game. VCU trying to take the lead. Bones Hyland, 6'3" sophomore, top returning scorer for VCU. And now we've got a foul off the ball. And that foul a moment ago was against Levi Stockard, the starting power forward for VCU, and that's his second, so he's out of the game for now. Musa Cisse will come back in and replace Malcolm Dandridge for the Tigers. There is Stockard, former Kansas State Wildcat. Hyland. That was the spot where he did not miss early on Wednesday, but he's cooled off considerably.
Oh, and you can live with that. He can really shoot. And you want him, when he's got space and daylight, you want Bones Hyland to pull the trigger.
How do you think the 3 officials are calling this so far? We've had a lot of fouls called.
Yeah.
Is it a byproduct of just the 2 styles of play? Or are they trying to control things and make sure it doesn't get out of hand?
You know, I think they've called what they've seen. To your point, when you've got 2 teams that are going to pick up full court and you got a lot of athletes out there on the floor, those are not easy games to officiate.
Yeah, trying to keep up. Well, it's 7 total fouls so far, about 7 minutes in.
And by the way, both these teams foul a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, in their 2 games for Memphis, their opponents have taken 20 more free throws than they have.
And officials know that coming in, right? Shot clock winding down. Douglas, the block shot. Numbers for VCU. 5 on 4. Douglas gives it up. The 3 ball is no good by Josh Banks. But basketball officials, when they come onto the floor, they have preconceived notions and understanding about how each team is going to play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Watkins. Boogie Ellis out of Mission Bay High School in San Diego, California. Drive and dish. Jump shot off the mark by Damian Ball. 12:25 remaining first half. 7-6 Memphis. And a foul on the drive. Musa Cisse commits the foul. Cisse was the big recruit for Penny Hardaway this year, number 24 in the ESPN 100. Had high school stops along the way. Christ the King in Queens, New York. Also St. Benedict's Prep in New Jersey. Moved from Guinea to New York City at the age of 14 and now has found himself a home in Memphis. Nice looking set to get a chance for a three-point play for Josh Banks.
You know, Bob McKillop, the great coach at Davidson, calls under out of bounds the special teams in basketball. We've now seen 2 under out of bounds, one from Memphis out of a timeout where they scored, and that one right there. Really good execution and a good finish through contact by Josh Banks.
And Banks, along with Jameer Watkins, a couple of the exciting pieces in the freshman class for Mike Rhodes. 2 of the 8 freshmen, all who got onto campus in spite of the pandemic in early June. And so Coach Rhodes, while it's been very strange through the summer and fall getting ready for this season, he was encouraged by the fact that this young team did have those months to bond and get to know each other a little better. Number 0 guarding number 0. Watkins trying to check Jeffries. And here's Jaden Hardaway into the game, the son of the head coach. 3 ball is good. No, that's a 2-point shot. So Jeffries has his first 2 points.
And that's got to make him feel good. It was a good look. Open shot, had his feet set.
Deflection out of bounds will take us to our under 12 timeout.
VCU's press does not end once you get it over half court, and you do not want to take it into this corner because they are coming to trap. And what Mike Rhodes calls that is a John Wick. For anyone who has seen the movie, an outstanding Keanu Reeves picture. He's an assassin, and that is the John Wick spot. And you can hear definitely in practice, but even sometimes in games when there's no crowds, Mike Rhodes will yell out, John Wick. And that's that spot. You don't want to take it there because you know they're coming, and you almost induce a turnover.
That's very observant of you. I mean, a lot of us announcers, we go to practice and we pay attention, but not to that degree. That's good. That's good stuff.
Keanu Reeves has a couple very good vehicles for him. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was 1.
Yeah.
And it's got to be John Wick at number 2. Outstanding Keanu Reeves performances.
And I might even put John Wick number 1. Now, I have recency bias because I just finally did watch them recently. But Wick was pretty good. That triple by Jimmy Clark, appropriate. His nickname is Trey. Puts VCU on top 12-9. And then the takeaway with Jeffries in chase. Doesn't matter. He throws it down with 2 hands. Foul on the drive by Jeffries. Score it, and a chance to go to the line.
There's points off of turnovers again. You just a careless pass, and you allow VCU to do what they do best, run the floor and be athletic.
Jimmy Clark saw his role grow for VCU last year as a freshman out of Covington, Georgia, Newton High School. He went from 14 DNPs, coach's decision in the first 24 games, to averaging about 12 minutes a game over the last 7 games for VCU, and counted on by Coach Rhodes as a key reserve again this year. Sloppy ball handling and the takeaway by Lomax. Jaden Hardaway, no. Lance Thomas tried to corral it. Here's Clark with the basketball for VCU. The Rams are in their road gold uniforms with the black lettering. Memphis in the home white with the royal blue and gray trim. Out of bounds. Back to Memphis. Well, tomorrow on ESPN and the app, this should be a good one. So, Chris Patola grabbed some leftovers and hunkered down somewhere comfortable. TJ Finley, the quarterback for LSU, goes into College Station to try and take down the 5th-ranked Aggies. 7 o'clock Eastern, Saturday on ESPN. Aggies still alive. They still might get into the playoff. A lot to be decided. Offensive foul. That means another Memphis turnover, number 7 of the game.
It's good to see that Jimbo Fisher has landed on his feet, because the program he left is a complete disaster.
Dumpster fire, I think, is the appropriate term. My goodness. Well, he found himself in a good spot. To me, Texas A&M still doesn't really fit in the SEC. Still should be in the Big 12, but it's hard to turn down the money and the opportunity. But they are set up this year to have one of the great seasons in Aggies history.
Yeah, 10 years, $75 million sounds very nice when you're leaving behind a disaster, and you know it.
Goaltending, count the basket. That ball was on the way down.
By the way, now I have people just tweeting at me a bunch of Keanu Reeves movies. Point Break is not on the list of great Keanu Reeves movies.
No.
I'm sorry. Devil's Advocate, maybe.
Speed.
Fantastic.
See?
And that was when we were all introduced to Sandra Bullock.
Right.
One of her best.
I call her Sandy.
She doesn't call you.
No. Huh?
Anything.
Oh. Blocking foul by Hason Ward. Trying on the hard hedge. A little too hard. Yeah, I like a lot of folks, perhaps you as well, caught up on a lot of reading and watched some television and movies during all the downtime. And John Wick was one of the most enjoyable movies that I watched. I saw 1 and 2. I don't think I've seen 3 yet. That's still on the DVR. Nice drive and dish. Good look by Jeffries. He tracks down his miss and gives it back to Alex Lomax. Jeffries hangs and gets the roll.
And he didn't settle. He had an open 3. Instead, he drives it, puts the pressure on the defense, and a crafty finish.
Another thing Penny says about DJ Jeffries, we want him to be a two-way player who can guard the other team's best player.
Well, so many young guys want to show everybody they can shoot threes. You know, they want to show pro scouts that they can shoot. And there, he doesn't settle. The path of least resistance. He puts the ball on the floor and finishes. He's got good size, and he's really good around the basket. He's just got to play free. Play free, young man. Be a college basketball player.
Well, the 6'7", 215-pounder out of Olive Branch, Mississippi, originally committed to Kentucky, then changed his mind. Traveled by Quinones. (16-13) VCU on top of Penny Hardaway's Tigers, who were picked number 2 in the preseason poll in the American Conference, behind very good Houston Cougars, and ahead of SMU. Cincinnati was picked 4th. And remember, UConn's no longer in the American, back where they belong in the Big East. Otherwise, the Huskies certainly would have been up there, because Coach Hurley has it working in stores. Whistle and a travel call.
Interesting. James Harden doesn't get that call.
No, you're right.
And there's a lot of guys trying to make that a part of their game.
And Bones Hyland goes immediately over to the official to ask him about it. Probably said, well, wait a second. James Harden does that 50 times a game. What about me? Quinones, no. Memphis now 1 of 9 from the three-point line tonight. They shot it well the first 2 games here this week, but not so much tonight. Tigers find themselves down 3 with under 8 minutes remaining in the first half in this third-place game. Around college basketball on this 3rd day of the regular season, the WCC has had a tremendous day. San Francisco with the upset, and then Gonzaga just keeps on keeping on. The top-ranked team in the country got 28 points and 10 rebounds from Drew Timme. Corey Kispert, 25 points. And while Bruce Pearl does not have the exact same team he's had the last few years, they're figuring things out. That's still an impressive win to beat a quality opponent out of the SEC.
Gonzaga's loaded. I mean, I'm not saying anything that we haven't seen yet. I mean, this is the deepest team that Mark Few has had, and that's saying a lot. That team in 2016 was pretty deep, but this is by far the deepest team he's had. I mean, they're 2-3 deep at every position. They've got post scoring. They've got perimeter shooting. They have guards who can take you off the dribble. They are so efficient offensively. They have the ability, I think, this year to guard better. And oh, by the way, they've supplemented all of that with a stud freshman in Jalen Suggs.
And so now Coach Few's team is back in Spokane tonight, and they will be home on Wednesday for their next game against the winner of this tournament, the West Virginia Mountaineers. A couple of days ago, that game came to be, and so the Mountaineers will take on the Zags. That game, though, will be in Indianapolis as part of the Jimmy V Classic. So I say the Bulldogs were going back to Spokane. Who knows? I mean, they may not go cross country and then come back to the Midwest. I'm not sure what they would do. Everything certainly is different nowadays. We talked about it in the last game, Chris. You said it so well about how the folks here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota have done a great job of keeping everybody safe and healthy, and that we've made it through 3 days, 4 games each day, and no positive corona tests. And these guys have been very well cared for in their bubble. Memphis down 3 with the basketball. Nolly fires away from the corner. Out of bounds.
Oh,
great save. Curry dove, and here come the Rams.
Foolish. What are you doing?
Hyland's bounce pass taken away. Back the other way. Memphis right to the rim. Damian Baugh's first 2 points. Back to a 1-point game. Bodies flying everywhere. Jeffries dribbles into the front court and hands it off to the reserve point guard for Memphis, Damian Baugh from Nashville, Tennessee. Attended Cane Ridge High School and then Tennessee Prep Academy before heading to Memphis. Bad pass. Dandridge just basically threw it right into the arms of KeShawn Curry.
Now, this is the good and the ugly. I mean, this is a great save. I mean, just a really terrific save. Heads up play. And then you end up turning it over. I mean, drive it at the defender. And then you either got a lob or then you make that bounce pass. Trying to fit that thing through there as the defender's retreating. The defender has the advantage with the angle. And that's kind of the yin and the yang of both these teams, really, Doug, is you get some flashes of really good play, and then they just kill themselves with plays like that.
First free throw good by KeShawn Curry out of Andrew Jackson High School in Jacksonville, Florida. And he's a man who, if he gets the opportunity to dunk, you're going to want to watch. He's been on SportsCenter's top 10 plays multiple times with slam dunks. 6.5 minutes remaining in the first.
Nice pass. Shoot it.
Travel. Jeffries turns it back over. Turnover number 10. Sunday afternoon, we'll have 2 more college basketball matchups featuring 3 top 20 teams. It begins at 1 Eastern, noon Central. The Richmond Spiders at Rupp Arena to take on number 10 Kentucky. And then on ESPN2 at 5:30 Eastern, number 17 Houston, the preseason favorite in the American, against Texas Tech. The Red Raiders now ranked 14th. That'll be played at the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Like everything else, both games will be also available on the ESPN app. I have driven past the new Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. I've heard it's fabulous. Have you been?
I have not been, no.
It really looks spectacular, so that'll be a nice backdrop there.
I love Texas Tech. I think by mid-season we could find them in the top 5.
Chance for 3 after the great rebound and putback by Hason Ward.
And I like Hason Ward. Hasn't played a whole lot of minutes here, but I think he has earned himself some time moving forward. Really a good athlete, and he's been very active. You know, they're not going to throw him the ball on the block or throw him the ball to be a scorer. He's going to have to go get his own, as he does right there from St. Thomas, Barbados. He's only 19 years old. He didn't start playing basketball until his sophomore year in high school. But you see his physical, 7'4" wingspan, really a good shot blocker.
And that development didn't start until he moved to the States at that time into Springfield, Massachusetts. But he has got a 7'4" wingspan along with being 6'9". He was offered by a lot of big programs. Virginia Tech, Georgia, Rutgers among the finalists before he settled on VCU. They get Hyland for the reach-in foul.
You know, so much was unknown for all these coaches coming in to this season. There was no exhibition. There was no preseason games of any sort, no close scrimmages. So you were really relegated to what you saw in practice. And look, players are different when the lights go on. Guys who are practice stars, sometimes they don't show up in games. And these MTEs, other than being ideal for a pandemic where you can cram 3 games in 3 days, you put your team out there and you see what you have. And you discover some guys. And I think, you know, a guy like a Hason Ward, you may not see him over the summer or in practice, but he shows flashes in a tournament like this.
Curry and Baldwin in the backcourt for VCU. Williams, Ward, and Banks round out the lineup for Mike Rhodes, VCU Rams. Williams, nothing but net.
He has really worked on his stroke. Wasn't really a shooter when he got to VCU. Has battled injuries throughout his career. He has the tools for a breakout season this year.
Nice drive to the bucket by Boogie Ellis. His first field goal. He's got 4. How about Vince Williams having both of his rotator cuffs surgically repaired? I mean, that's something you hear about from baseball or other sports, not in basketball.
It's not a pretty release, but he's really worked at it. And he has shot it well here in South Dakota. You know, it's the first, to your point, Doug, it's the first healthy offseason he's had. Does a lot of things really well. You know, I think they were hoping, they had a really good Isaac Van, really good defensive player on the perimeter, kind of a shutdown guy. They were looking for that guy coming into this season. They were hoping perhaps it might be Vince Williams, but he's been their second leading scorer here in this tournament.
15 against Utah State, 11 against West Virginia. Yeah, and in addition to the 2 shoulder surgeries last year, Vince Williams had a concussion, a broken hand, and calf injury, missed 10 games, and he certainly looks like he's healthy this week. Moussa Cisse back in. This is Landers Nolly. Baldwin up ahead, long pass, and landed in is KeShawn Curry.
They transition from defense to offense so well. How many of those runouts have we already seen in this first half?
Right, those live ball turnovers just make the Rams' eyes light up. Boogie Ellis with an air ball. Williams goes down hard and is called for a traveling violation. He appears to be okay.
This is what they do. When they have possession, they get out so quickly. And just a dime there from the freshman Ace Baldwin.
And you know, so far seeing Ace in a couple of games, now 2.5, he doesn't grab your attention, but you know, like his game against West Virginia, against a very good defensive team, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, only 3 points, but I think he handled the offense well. Moussa Cisse off the lob from Ellis.
And another under out of bounds basket. Yeah, Baldwin is the future at that position, a position that VCU has a very good tradition at the point guard position.
And there is Baldwin saying, hey, I can knock down a shot as well. Young man out of St. Francis Academy in Baltimore. He was a 4-star recruit envisioned by Coach Rhodes as the point guard of the future for this program. And he's given him the keys to the car right from the start. Corner jumper by Hardaway. Cisse with a rebound, but then he passes it back to the Rams. With Chris Patola, I'm Doug Sherman, back inside the Sanford Pentagon. And here's a game summary in this third-place game between VCU and Memphis. And turnovers really, as you thought coming in, Chris, you said earlier that turnovers are going to dictate. Right now, points off of turnovers. The Rams have 13. The Tigers only 6 points off of those 9 Rams turnovers.
Yeah, well, it's the conversion. You know, not every turnover is treated equally. You know, you go back to the Memphis's game against Western Kentucky. They actually only had 10 turnovers in that game, but Western Kentucky converted off of those. And it's the live ball ones, as you have pointed out so astutely, Doug Sherman.
I'm very familiar with committing live ball turnovers.
You're almost better off just taking the ball and punting it into the 15th row and forcing the team to take it out of bounds, especially in this game. You know, force VCU to have to play in the half court, then giving it to them and allowing them to run out. That is the oxygen that keeps this VCU program going. I mean, they have lived off this going back to Shaka.
They've had quite a few big-name coaches come through. Shaka, Anthony Grant, Jeff Capel, Dana Kirk, my favorite, going way back, Sonny Smith. He's a classic. After his days at Auburn, guided the Rams for a few years there in Richmond. 33-26. VCU with the basketball and the 7-point lead. Final 2.5 minutes of the first. Douglas gives it off. Foul on the rebound after the miss by Banks. Well, the two guys who we featured off the top, Chris, have largely been held in check. Landers Nolly just a couple of points, and so far Bones Hyland scoreless.
Well, and Boogie Ellis as well. You go back to the first game, he was dynamite in the opener in this tournament for Memphis against St. Mary's. Struggled a little bit yesterday and has 4 tonight. Only 2 shots. Haven't really called his name a lot either.
And against St. Mary's, Boogie was 6 of 7 from beyond the arc for his career high 24 points. And then against Western Kentucky, 14 points. He was 2 of 6 from deep. Long rebound comes to Curry. Tigers get back. Timeout by the officials.
Bones Hyland was trailing the play. Something happened to his arm.
Curry hangs in the air, but he's called for the offensive foul. Wave off the basket.
What a defensive play by Hardaway. Primary defender takes it right to the chest. Curry trying to be the aggressor on the play. And Hardaway moves his feet. You're allowed to be moving left or right as long as you're in legal guarding position, which he was. And how about a coach's son taking a charge? How appropriate.
I like what Penny said about Jaden when he first started playing as a redshirt freshman last year for him. Quote, I'm his biggest critic. He has a high basketball IQ. He'll be a great 4-year player for us. And of course, Jaden played for his dad at Memphis East High School, like a number of these Tigers did. Foul on the rebound. Coming up Tuesday night on ESPN and the ESPN app, we'll have the 10th annual State Farm Champions Classic. Number 13 Michigan State, number 9 Duke are at 7:30 Eastern from Cameron Indoor Stadium, and then number 6 Kansas will take on number 10 Kentucky at Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. That's Tuesday on ESPN.
I am so glad that we are having the Champions Classic. It's the best event in college basketball outside of the Final Four. I don't care if we have it at the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season. As long as we have it, that Champions Classic is great for college basketball. We get a home site game this year in Cameron, the other one in Indy. I'm pumped.
Is it diminished at all that it's in 2 separate locations?
Diminished is a very negative word, Doug Sherman,
Yes.
but it's different. I mean, you hit on a really good point, and that's kind of why I compare it to the Final Four, because it gathers all the college basketball entities. You got the 4 blue bloods. It's a great moment and night for college basketball to steal the spotlight,
right?
You know, in the month of November.
But it almost feels like it's going to be 2 standalone great games on the same night, because you don't have that one spot feel. But still, like you said, we just do whatever we do this year to make sure these games happen, and we're happy to have those 2 matchups. VCU up 6. Final minute 20 of the first half. Baldwin had it knocked out of bounds, I guess. The officials confer, and they say Baldwin did lose it. Baldwin was the last to touch.
It's amazing. Every coach that we've talked to at this event has been so complimentary of their players. Our players, we haven't asked them to do anything protocol-wise that they didn't want to do. They have been all in, bought in from the very beginning. All they wanted to do was to play their sport and play college basketball. And they've been blown away by how, you know, adaptive the players have been to everything they've been asked to do.
Cisse with another dunk. Yeah, the word that comes to mind for me is gratitude. The coaches just appreciate their young men, their student athletes. We'll step away with a 4-point VCU lead. Rams 33, Tigers 29, late first half. And coming up on the E-Trade halftime report, the San Francisco Dons take down number 4 Virginia, and then a close call for 6th ranked Kansas, and all the rest of the day in college basketball all around the country. And again, it's been a banner day for the West Coast Conference. The San Francisco Dons with a signature victory. First time since I think 1981 that they've beaten a top 5 opponent. Their star player back then in 1981, Chris Spatola for the University of San Francisco was?
In 1981?
Yes. Bill Cartwright.
That was my second guess. I'll tell you who my first was. Bill Cartwright.
Your first guess would have been?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you that now. In case there's another trivia, San Francisco trivia that comes up during the broadcast.
You're not going to say Bill Russell, are you?
Don't make me go back to my Australia trivia.
Oh, no, let's stick with hoops this time.
From the last game.
Good to see Bones Hyland back in after getting some treatment on his arm. Shot clock off. And timeout is called by Anthony Hardaway to set up for what he hopes will be a final shot of the half. Well, Penny Hardaway may only be a third-year Division I head coach, but he's been a head coach for a number of years on the AAU scene, and then very successful at Memphis East High School. He is one of a handful of former NBA players now who are Division I head coaches. You can make a really good team out of the former players. Jerry Stackhouse, Juwan Howard, Patrick Ewing. Put Penny and Tony Bennett in the backcourt. With those 3 up front, you could win some games.
Yes, you could win a lot of games. Heck, with the staff that Penny had last year, Sam Mitchell was on his staff, Mike Miller was on his staff, no longer with him. That's a pretty good trio right there.
Yeah, and Mike Miller is, of course, from the Dakotas, and he would have fit in nicely in this event here this week. The consensus is he is the greatest player ever from South Dakota. But he's in high school coaching now. Stepped away from Memphis to coach his son in high school. Final 10 seconds of the half. Lob, Cisse off the mark. VCU with a chance. 3 seconds. 2. Williams puts it up. And that'll do it for the first 20 minutes of this third-place game. VCU up 33-29 as we get set for the start of the second half.
Well, and outside of turnovers, the interesting thing here, you see the leading scorers in the game. Those are not the leading scorers for their teams. In the case of VCU, Bones Hyland 0 for 4 in that half, has no points. And for Memphis, their 2 leading scorers, Landers Nolly and Boogie Ellis, are combined 2 for 5. Only 5 shots between Nolly and Ellis.
Quinones. Ace Baldwin with the rebound. Yeah, 13 turnovers committed by Memphis in that first half, 11 by VCU. And you called it right from the start before we even went on the air, Chris. The team that turns it over less is probably going to prevail. And can one of these 2 teams stem that tide here in the second half?
And Memphis comes out in the 2-3 zone, and VCU immediately recognizes, gets ball reversal, and KeShawn Curry makes him pay.
Well, he's having one of his better games in his 3-year career. He's now got 12 points, 1 off his career high. This is Moussa Cisse, the 6'10" freshman, highly regarded, number 2 center in the country coming out last year. He turns it over. Bones Hyland, nothing but net. He can get hot and carry the Rams. His first 3 of the night.
And he's wired to score. I mean, you know, again, he had no points at the half. A guy like that, that's not going to sit well.
This matches the largest lead of the night. Rams led by 10 fairly late in that first half as well. Foul on the entry pass goes against Curry.
And once again, a turnover leading to points. And the conversion by VCU, this is what they do. They convert. Transition immediately, mentally, physically, to that offensive end. Hyland finds the corner, and he is an outstanding shooter.
And I'm glad we just got that shot of Arnold Henderson, the 6th. He's a walk-on from Mechanicsville, Virginia, who is a former VCU ball boy. He is the quintessential VCU Ram, so he just got his time, even though he likely won't play here this week. Levi Stockard is fouled by Cisse. Where are the areas that Moussa Cisse most needs to work on his game as just a newbie at the college level?
Let me start by saying this. He's actually more developed than I expected. I did not expect him to move the way he does. He has pretty good defensive instincts. You can tell he's been raised as a shot blocker, but he has pretty good footwork. You know, look, offensively, that's going to come. I think he's got to become a better rebounder. You know, for that size, particularly in a game like this, you'd love to see a guy like that, you know, be more active on the glass. We've seen some outstanding big guys in this tournament, though. I think Cisse is to me the best prospect of all of those guys, which, you know, shows you how I regard him. But with the way Charles Bassey's played in this tournament, he's made a name for himself as well.
And you think about those other 3 are 3rd-year guys, while Moussa Cisse just turned 18 in September. So if you can keep him for a spell, now it's assumed he would be a one-and-done kind of guy, but those other 3 centers we have seen, 2 because of injury, have stayed longer than anticipated, but they have benefited from that. Not the injury, but from the extended time and the development that you get playing college basketball. Another wide open look, this time Curry off the mark, and a rebounding foul. This one will go against Cisse. And again, he's just a pup. Turned 18 in September. He actually outplayed Charles Bassey when they matched up, Memphis and Western Kentucky. Boy, Bassey has been really good for the most part here this week.
Yeah, Bassi was great in that game that they played. Those two went at it. Bassi's had 2 good days. He really has. And Derek Culver's played well. He's the MVP of this tournament.
Yep.
He has played well himself. We've seen some really good big guys in this tournament.
And there have been a handful of NBA scouts here in Sioux Falls this week, even though crowds have not been allowed. They've been sequestered up in a luxury box here at the Pentagon. Nice offensive rebound by Quinones, and he earns a trip to the free throw line.
No, that's what Memphis is going to have to do. You know, that was a great example, that possession of VCU closing out. I mean, they were basically in a closeout drill. They are so good at that. They recover and don't give up a shot. Shot goes up, and Quinones is right on the spot, and that's kind of how Memphis is going to have to do this. They have not shot threes well in this game or in this tournament, but certainly in this game they continue to fire away. They're going to have to figure out how to manufacture some points here, be it in transition, offensive boards, at the foul line. Penny Hardaway is searching.
Quinones, a sophomore from Brentwood, New York. How far on Long Island is that from where you're from?
Like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Depends on the LIE.
So it could be 3 hours.
Could be 3 hours.
The Long Island Expressway for those uninitiated.
Who doesn't know what the LIE is?
You know,
come on, America.
I've lived in upstate New York my entire life, and as we pointed out, I've been to all 50 states. I've been to Long Island, New York, I think twice in my life. It's hard to get out there, and you can get stuck.
That's why I don't live there anymore. Getting on and off the island is a nightmare.
Yeah. I went to visit family once, and I had a Stony Brook game once, and other than that, I don't know as I've been to the island. Tough shot at the bucket by Hyland.
And another under out of bounds.
Quinones, no. Tipped once. Tigers keep coming on the offensive glass. Give 2 more to DJ Jeffries, now into double figures. And the steal and the layup by Boogie Ellis. Tigers back to within 7. Douglas, the pull-up. Missed the rim altogether, knocked out of bounds by Quinones. VCU will keep it.
And this is where, if you're hungry to score, and it's been a struggle for you to do that in this game, it's a great play. I mean, just a great play by Boogie Ellis. He knows he's on a freshman guard there, exposes the ball, and Ellis is right on it.
And according to Penny Hardaway, his defense, right from the time he got there to Memphis last year, has been really good. Out of bounds, and takes us to our first media timeout here in the second half. Memphis, with back-to-back buckets, have drawn back to within 7 for head coach Penny Hardaway.
It will. Steal there by Dandridge. I mean, just a careless turnover. Out of a timeout. Nothing kills a coach more. Out of a timeout, you spend all that time drawing up a play, and you just throw it to the other team.
Nice find in the corner. Tough shot. And wearing his dad's old #1 jersey, Jaden Hardaway's in the scoring column. That was the number Penny made famous with the Orlando Magic back in the mid-90s. Did you like Lil Penny?
Loved Lil Penny.
Yeah, me too. The Chris Rock voice.
Absolutely.
Great Nike ad campaign. If you're not old enough or don't know about it, go to YouTube and check out Lil Penny. We can show you what he looked like in his playing days. First with the Memphis Tigers as a All-American at the Pyramid, where they used to play.
He was so smooth.
There's that #1. Look at that pass.
So smooth.
He and Shaq were quite a combo. Made it to the NBA Finals.
Well, first, they were a great combo on Blue Chips. That's where the combo started. And actually the friendship, that's how the story goes, that they met on the set of Blue Chips.
Okay.
Shaq went back to the Magic and said, look, I love this guy. And they played a lot of pickup. You know, there were a lot of players obviously involved in the filming of Blue Chips. Shaq developed an affinity for Penny. Told the Magic, we need to get this guy. And so, of course, they ended up drafting Chris Webber, then trading him. And the rest is history. And I'll tell you what, man, he was a terrific player. And it's unfortunate injuries kind of zapped that athleticism and ultimately his career. But Penny Hardaway, man, a baller.
14-year NBA career. So he did very well to adjust after the injuries to be a different type of player and a valuable reserve in his later days with the Knicks and the Heat. Jimmy Clark III able to get back up, which is good to see. And Penny's one of a handful of guys coaching at his alma mater. Guys like Bob Huggins, who led West Virginia to the title here this week. Patrick Ewing, Roy Williams, North Carolina, Jim Boeheim, Syracuse, Matt Painter at Purdue, Jamie Dixon now back at TCU. And I always think that's a very tricky proposition. And if I were in those shoes, I'd be hesitant to take that job back at a place where I'm beloved for my playing days. And you know the old axiom, coaches are hired to be fired. Yeah. And we could list an awful lot of coaches who've gone back to their alma mater and have it end badly. And it fractures a lot of relationships. Although I'll tell you what, Penny Hardaway has certainly reinvigorated the fan base in Memphis.
Yes, he has.
Crowds are back and fired up about this team, which is down 7 to VCU. With Chris Spatola, I'm Doug Sherman back in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Memphis trailing VCU for 43-36. And you see the Hardaways there, father and son. That is Jaden Hardaway, a redshirt sophomore who just scored his first points of the night, playing for his father. And there are more than 20 father-son combinations around. Well, I see it's 17. It's only 17. I was off by my number, but I was thinking about some of the better ones. Jim Boeheim at Syracuse has Buddy, who's their top returning scorer. Had a big game today in their narrow win over Bryant. And Fran McCaffrey at Iowa has 2 of his sons. Connor is kind of a glue guy, and Patrick, who's now healthy and playing this year, really has a high upside and makes that top 5 Iowa team that much deeper and better.
You know, it's interesting with this Memphis team and how good an offensive player Penny Hardaway was and how well he's recruited. That they are so disciplined and sharp and play so hard defensively. You know, they just haven't been able to find themselves offensively. You know, at times look a little disorganized. They're not very disciplined. They turn the ball over a lot. Shot selection, it's just been a real puzzle, and they weren't good offensively last year. I think people felt like they were going to take a jump, and so far in 3 games it just hasn't been there. And yet they're only down 7. I mean, you know, they're right in this game because VCU is going through some of the same struggles.
And when you say find yourself offensively, what exactly, generally speaking, do you mean?
Well, it's a fractured group right now. Like, you know, nobody knows when they should be taking a shot. At times it's, you know, they take turns on, okay, now it's your turn to take a shot. Time, score, momentum doesn't really impact when that's being taken. You can never really pinpoint exactly what they're trying to run. And, you know, last year you chalked it up to a young team. You know, they didn't have, I mean, it's not what, you know, their best player, Precious Achiuwa, he was a good offensive player. It's not really what he did. Boogie Ellis never found his way. Quinones, we've talked about some of the injuries they've had. DJ Jeffrey struggled. But some of those same things that we saw last year are still here. And, you know, I think Penny has tried different looks, different rotations, but it just hasn't really found its way. And you've got a lot of really good individually talented players that have not really bonded collectively.
Ellis gets 1 out of 2 from the line. Well, this year's prized freshman Moussa Cisse has only played 14 minutes so far tonight. He's on the bench with 3 fouls. Williams with another 3. This from a guy, again, who was only 20% a year ago. He really looks good stroking the jump shot.
Yeah, he has worked. He has worked at it. And it's not a pure release. kind of a funky release shot, but it has gone in here in South Dakota.
Right, who cares if it's going in? Jamal Wilkes, whatever it looks like, doesn't matter. It's a nice move by Ward. Under control, nice little jump hook.
And you like him, right? You're on him now.
I do.
You see? And Mike Rhodes does too. You can tell he's playing him a lot more, even than he did the first night.
Look at that effort by Vince Williams, going face first, and he comes up smiling.
That was a good idea. If he had kept running, if you sprint. But how about this save? Another really good save on that same baseline. And a good find out there to Vince Williams. And then there's Hason Ward. Has really come along just in the 3 days he's been here.
Just off the bench, Lance Thomas couldn't corral the lob from Alex Lomax.
And even there, Ward disrupts the play, and you know, another Memphis turnover.
So off the dead ball turnover, Memphis goes into its full court pressure. Hyland guarded by Alex Lomax, who's been playing for Penny Hardaway for 11 years. Beginning in the 5th grade on Team Penny, the AAU program, and then played at East High School in Memphis. And now the last 3 years at the University of Memphis.
Nice.
Baldwin sets up Ward for the flush.
What a really good play by Baldwin. He's one of those DMV guys from Baltimore, Maryland, was 2-time All-Metro Player of the Year.
Williams hit the deck again.
I'll tell you
Against
what,
Memphis.
Kentucky better show up because they could get beat in that game. Most folks know Jacob Gilliard, Nathan Ko, Grant Golden. That's an older Richmond team and talented.
Who's your team to beat in the A-10?
Richmond right now,
okay.
No question. Yeah, no question.
Baldwin passes up the shot, gives it to Ward. Now the shot clock down to 5. Williams again.
Ooh.
Able to knock it down.
I'm glad we have told this story because, as you have said, he was not a shooter. I mean, not even close when he got to VCU. He has worked his tail off, particularly this summer. Finally healthy. Got both those rotator cuffs fixed, as you said, Doug. He looks smooth.
Lomax was blocked. Shot denied by Ward. The lead just continues to grow for VCU. It's 16. That's the largest of the night. Lomax to Jeffries. Drives hard to the bucket and missed the layup. Lance Thomas gets the friendly bounce. And now an injury timeout, apparently. Oh, down here on the baseline. There we go.
It's Bones again.
It's behind the stanchion, and we couldn't see from our broadcast location. I kept looking for somebody on the floor. Well, good to see him hopping back up again.
Oh, yeah.
Little hip check.
I mean, I don't know how that's not a foul.
Yeah.
Seeing it on the replay. I mean, that's a foul.
Yeah, no question. Ace Baldwin had offers from Georgetown, Maryland, Clemson, Seton Hall. He picked VCU, knowing he was going to get the opportunity to start right away. Wide open three, and that's a nice looking stroke from Landers Nolley. What we were talking about off the top of the show. Just his second made bucket. He is 2 out of 6 from the floor for the 5 points. Jeffries is the only Tiger in double figures so far with 10. VCU's got a couple. Curry with 12. Williams has 10. That's a nice looking shot by Josh Banks. Jeffries is fouled and will shoot 2. Jeffries missed the last 11 games last season with a left knee injury. And for Penny Hardaway, he needs more production at both ends out of Jeffries if they're going to contend in the American Athletic Conference. In that league, do you think it's Houston and then everybody else?
Yeah, I think so. You know, that's where Memphis needs that third scorer. I mean, you know, and again, Landers Nolley and Boogie Ellis haven't had great nights tonight, but they each have had separate. That's also part of the problem. Like, yeah. Boogie Ellis had a great game 1 in this tournament. Then Nolley was great yesterday in a loss. And, you know, Jeffries just hasn't gotten it going. They almost need that third scorer. And it's starting to affect their defense a little bit. You know, we're all human. When you're not making shots, as much as Penny preaches playing hard and defensive identity, and they were one of the nation's best last year on that end, not making shots and not being rewarded offensively, it starts to eat away at your psyche, man.
Well, how do they miss Precious Achiuwa this year?
He you know, he was so versatile. He did everything. There was a toughness to him. You know, I actually thought if Wiseman had stayed and played all year, Precious Achiuwa would not have been drafted as high as he was.
I agree.
But because he was able to show that, hey, I can play a center position, I can play the 4, I can switch out, I can defend ball screens, he made himself more valuable with that versatility to the way the NBA is playing now.
VCU up 11. They've led by as many as 16 here in the second half. 7 to shoot. Williams makes the extra pass. But Banks missed badly and a foul on the floor. Who's the only guy who has been the head coach at each of these programs?
That's a great question.
I mentioned him, I think, in the first half real quickly. It's not easy. I wouldn't have gotten it if I hadn't stumbled upon it doing research for the game.
I don't know. That's a good one.
Dana Kirk.
Okay, you did mention him.
VCU is a program that's not been around as long as you might think. But they have really built some big-time teams. A Final Four team by Shaka Smart.
Well, and they made the right hire in Mike Rhodes. There's no question. I think he feels really good about the group he has now. You know, he has not had a team that could really shoot the ball since he's been there, and they've recruited to that. And I think he feels better about their basketball IQ. They've had athletes over the last couple of years, and I think he feels this year they have basketball players. As Memphis closes it to 8.
Yeah, don't look now. Just under 8 minutes remaining. They've cut the deficit in half. VCU went to the NCAA tournament under Coach Rhodes 2 years ago. Of course, there wasn't an NCAA tournament last season. Could they get back this year? Holding on to an 8-point lead over Memphis. I tell you what, there's one last slot remaining in the all-tournament team. And Vince Williams might sneak his way in there for VCU. First, they would have to hold on and win this game, but he's been in double figures now each of the 3 games for the Rams here this week.
He was their second leading scorer in this tournament coming into this game. And he is in a game that we haven't seen a whole lot of offense. Certainly not offense to write home about, but he has been good. And the improved shooting has been spectacular. He was 3 of 21, only had 3 threes all year last year.
And he's got 3 again tonight. 3 for 5 for the young man out of Toledo's St. John's Jesuit High School. Jeffries puts it up from 17. It rattles out. VCU's gone scoreless the last 2.5. Thomas the foul as Williams took him off the bounce. Second foul on the Louisville transfer. Williams 1 for 2 tonight at the free throw line. As a team, the Rams are 11 out of 15. And at the scorers table, Hason Ward is waiting to come in for the shooter if Williams makes the second. Douglas, Ward, Curry, Hyland, and Baldwin defending for VCU. Here's Thomas for 3.
I mean, that shot right there, that's not Thomas's game. They're down 10. There's over 6 minutes left. And it's almost like, well, I haven't shot it in a while, so I'm going to take this shot because I'm wide open.
Rebound by Douglas, and VCU able to bring it back out and reload with Nashawn Bones Hyland, who has left this game twice getting dinged up. Good to see him back out there at the point. 5 on the shot clock. Puts it up and in.
Tough shot maker.
Thomas. Wild shot, but he is fouled. Third foul on Hason Ward.
Bones Hyland is a tough shot maker. How about that one with a hand in his face? A pretty good contest from DJ Jeffries. Just better offense.
And I correct myself. That's now the 4th foul on Ward. He's the first player in the ball game either side with 4. Curry's got 3 for VCU, and then on the flip side, a trio of Tigers have 3. Cisse, Dandridge, and Ellis. There's a good look at Lance Thomas from Norcross, Georgia. Got the first free throw. Give him 4 points on the night. The lead back to 10 with just over 6 minutes remaining. Thomas out. Lester Quinones has come back on. Out there with Boogie Ellis, DJ Jeffries, Landers Nolly, and Damian Baugh. And this is Jimmy Clark III. Williams thought about trying to pass back door to Curry, brought it back out. Hyland drives, puts it up on the glass, no. And Quinones brings it back out with 5:35 remaining in the second half. VCU led by 4 at halftime, 33-29, and they've been able to keep Memphis at arm's length for the most part here in the second half. 3 to shoot. Got to put it up. Baugh does. Air ball. Shot clock violation and turnover number 19.
And well defended by VCU. And they didn't have to defend a whole lot of action, a lot of dribbling and guys trying to go off the bounce, but they stayed in front. Vince Williams there towards the end of that play forcing a late pass, and you don't get a quality shot.
Hyland. Boy, he is a shot maker. Creatively able to get the bucket and the foul.
He's a scorer. I mean, he's just a bucket getter. And we've seen it in a lot of different ways. I mean, he's a terrific three-point shooter. He shot 46% from three in conference last year. And now he's starting to add this to his game. They recruited him for 2 years. They were on Bones Hyland, and with all the injuries they had last year, he ended up becoming their most reliable scorer as a freshman by the end of the season.
And when Marcus Evans went down with injury, he had to start at the point the last 9 games of the year.
And that's the one area he needs to get fouled more. And he shows you there his ability to go off the bounce. He's got to get himself to the foul line more. That's the next evolution as a scorer.
Lomax to Jeffries for 3. Pressure easily broken. Williams now in trouble, and a timeout called by VCU. And we'll take a break with VCU holding on to a 10-point lead here at the Sanford Pentagon, the full-time home of the Skyforce, the Sioux Falls Skyforce of the G League. Used to be in the CBA, and it's a very successful franchise here in this 7-year-old building. And as we've talked about, they are the feeder program for the Miami Heat, and a lot of good players have come through here. Duncan Robinson, Josh Richardson, Hassan Whiteside. That's just in the recent days. And then if you go back in the CBA days, they had a coach named Flip Saunders. They had a player named Daryl Dawkins come through. So the folks here of Sioux Falls love their minor league basketball, and it's good to see that the program or the organization is on firm footing, and they're a valuable partner of the Miami Heat. Hyland, no. Long rebound comes back to VCU, and the Rams will work a little more clock. 3:47 to go. Williams going to have to put it up. Shot clock violation. You know, the Rams haven't taken good care of the basketball either. That's their 18th turnover.
This has not been a sparkling show of offense by either team.
No.
But look, I mean, it's 3:30 left, and if you're Memphis, you know they're pressing. If you can, you know, get up. That's not going to help. I'll save my comment.
Right, but there still is time for them to make a push. They just haven't shown any signs of that tonight through the first 37 minutes. But there certainly is time. Foul against Memphis. And against DJ Jeffries. Jaden Hardaway comes back in. Lomax and Baugh both go out. So Boogie Ellis also on the floor with Quinones, Jeffries, and Musa Cisse, who we've seen very, very little of 16 minutes played so far. Had some foul issues in the first half. I mentioned there's one spot left in the all-tournament team. They did announce this afternoon while the Mountaineers were still in town and had just won the championship that Derek Culver won the MVP, which I agree with. I assume you do as well.
Absolutely.
And then Deuce McBride of West Virginia also made the all-tournament team. Charles Bassey of Western Kentucky. And then Tommy Kuzi of St. Mary's is the 4th member of that team, and they're saving the 5th slot for somebody out of this matchup. And at this point, with 2:50 to go, is there somebody who you'd throw in there, Chris?
You know, the collective, you know, if you do it collectively, it's probably KeShawn Hyland. But I'll tell you what, Vince Williams has made a late push. He's played well overall in this tournament. He's played very well tonight.
Yeah, I think I'd be leaning his way as well.
Yeah.
Tigers on the run. Quinones into traffic. No call. Here comes VCU.
There's a lot of contact on that play.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the official said he was walled up.
Out of bounds. Off of Ellis. The VCU will keep it underneath with 14 seconds to shoot. Nolly and Baugh come back in. Jeffries and Cisse head out. I think they got that call right as we saw the replay. Hyland guarded by Baugh. Under 2 minutes in regulation. Trey Clark on the reverse. No. Hason Ward the rebound. And the Rams can work some more clock. Five on the shot clock. Hyland, the deep 3. Another VCU offensive rebound to extend the possession. And now for tonight's play of the game, brought to you by Complete Sports Management. Chris?
Well, we're going with this Cisse play here, even though they're down 12. This was in the first half on the under out of bounds. And I'd love to throw lobs to him, man. End up with a lot of assists throwing lobs to Moussa Cisse.
There's number 32. 6'10", 220 pounds with a huge upside. The 24th rated prospect by ESPN coming out of the high school ranks last year. 3 for Quinones. Timeout with 1:11 to go. Back to a 10-point game. And I guess you and I were not consulted because they have filled the 5th slot on the all-tournament team.
With?
Bones Hyland.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Averaging 18 points a game coming into this game. He has certainly been the driving force behind their offense. He's talented. I love Bones Hyland. You saw it last year. You saw flashes. And then when they had a bunch of guys go down towards the end of that season, he really took over and became their most reliable scorer.
So like Williams, he's been in double figures all 3 games this week. Been banged up a couple of times here tonight, but gotten up off the deck and come back in and helped steady the ship as the Rams have really, I don't know if cruised is the right word, but they've hardly been challenged in the second half by Memphis. The Tigers have not been able to string together enough stops or baskets to really make VCU sweat the lead.
Yeah, they had it to 8, and we even said it. You know, they're within striking distance, but you never really felt that they were going to be able to put together, not even just stops, enough offensive possessions to get themselves back in.
Well, Hyland makes the all-tournament team, but our player of the game, brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers, Vince Williams Jr.
And he earned it. He really has. He has come back in this 2020 pandemic season an improved offensive player, and it starts with his ability to knock down threes. So he said last year, 3 of 21 from 3 all year. Has, what, 4 tonight? Is that what that said?
3 for 5 is what the official box in front of me has.
Well, and he's obviously got more in other games this tournament. He is a much improved shooter.
But what has VCU done best tonight to earn this victory?
Well, you know what they did? They converted. They took advantage. They knew coming in they were going to be able to turn Memphis over. Yeah, I don't think that.
Checking to see if that ball may be bounced off the foot of Jeffries and not Hyland.
It may have, actually.
Yeah.
His toe there, you see that.
Yeah, we had a great look right above it, and I thought it was off Hyland as well. But so anyhow, finish your thought.
What was your question?
Asked why VCU has been able to win this game, assuming they hold on. What have they done best? Because they haven't shot it particularly well. They haven't taken care of the basketball very well.
Yeah.
So what have they done well to control this game?
You know, it's been an extended version of what they did to Utah State at the end of that game. Don't forget, I mean, these tournaments, they were down to Utah State for the bulk of that game. In fact, you and I at one point said, okay, this is feeling like Utah State's going to handle this. Then they started turning them over and converting. And I'm telling you, this is a VCU thing that's been going on now for a bunch of years. They supplement their offense by scoring off of their defense. And I thought that's what they did tonight, Doug, is they really, I mean, look, they only have 65, but you know, a good percentage of that was turning Memphis over and converting.
They did indeed conclude that that ball went off the foot of Jeffries, so VCU keeps it. And we'll head to the free throw line with 48.5 seconds on the clock. I want to point out one last time as we say the clock. It is neat. The above the court scoreboard has, there you see, the old-fashioned clock with the hand, and it's done by Daktronics, which is a South Dakota company, and they have helped to create, there's another one on the wall. It just adds to the feel of this arena and building. Even though it's only 7 years old, it feels brand new, but at the same time tips its cap to the history of college basketball. It's really neat. Quinones off the back iron, and the foul given. Now from here, according to the latest schedule, which is of course always written in pencil, Memphis's next game will be back home at the FedEx Forum against Arkansas State on December 2nd. Their following game at Ole Miss was canceled from December 5th. And again, you don't really schedule too far out in this wild start to the college basketball season. VCU, meanwhile, is scheduled to travel to Happy Valley to play Penn State on December 2nd, and then home against Mount St. Mary's. Memphis commits the foul, and that should send Williams back to the line for Mike Rhodes. He was on staff, well, it's been a decade ago now. That was 2011, so this is now 10 years later when Shaka and Havoc made it to the Final Four for VCU. Upset Kansas to get there and then lost to Butler. And our player of the game back at the free throw line, Williams. And this is a new career high effort for him. He matches what he scored 2 nights ago with 15 points. Hyland called for the foul. Quinones will shoot the bonus. Shot clock is off. Memphis still giving chase defensively, and now perhaps they will call it off. And indeed they will. VCU will close out a 70-59 victory and go back to Richmond with 3rd place in this very good event.
And go 2-1, an event that they figured out they were going to be in at the last minute. And you come out of here with 2 wins. Pretty good.
That's true. What was it? Tuesday, they flew in, the last team here. They didn't know. They thought they were going to Knoxville, Tennessee. And they told the pilot, actually, we're heading north to Sioux Falls. And now they head home 2-1 with a 3rd place finish.